Yo, 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 welcome back to Corporate Counterculture. And today we have a very interesting topic. And it is sales creating their own marketing content. But let me introduce myself first. I'm Brian Taylor. And then, of course, we have our other host.
I'm Brian Martins.
And man, this is a very important topic. I feel like some kind of way we always, as salespeople, get into the idea of how to work better with marketing or how to be different with marketing or how to utilize marketing differently or how to utilize it better. Man, when it comes to salespeople and them creating their own content, to me, it sounds like an awesome idea because we're the ones in front of the customers. We know their language. We know what they're interested in. We've already sent them the spec sheets, the sales sheets. We have gotten feedback from them, especially per customer. We know what to use with each individual customer. So it makes sense that salespeople should create their own marketing content. Here's the thing though, we're not marketing. So where does that leave us, Brian?
That's a good question, man. I think at the end of the day, when it ends up falling into your hands and you actually take it upon yourself to create your marketing content, you are very, very direct and you know exactly what you want to create. Whereas, if you leave it up to the marketing team to create marketing content, it could be broad, it could miss the mark, it could be, too generic or far too specific, kind of weirdly too narrow in a way. And so it's a balance. At the end of the day, really for the salesperson that sometimes has needed to do this on my own, I usually have a target customer in mind. I want to kind of create some flyers, LinkedIn posts, videos maybe that pertain to that specific customer. And so in that sense, it's far more just like straight to the point and direct. And I know where this is going to be used. I think that's the biggest kind of difference when a salesperson is creating marketing content versus when marketing is creating marketing content, because in that sense, it's kind of just like, all right, guys, I think this is what you need, and kind of provide some feedback and that sort of thing. And so you might have multiple feedback loops, you might have multiple iterations and versions, revisions. But if a salesperson's doing it, boom, this is what I want, this is what I need. I got exactly what I needed. I know exactly how I'm going to use this, and I feel like you can kind of cut out a lot of the steps some ways.
That's true, man. I think, and this is as a person who loves marketing, who's worked in marketing, I think that marketing now has evolved into just being middleman in a sense. And not in a bad way, but yeah, in a bad way, because marketing is good that you have a middleman to see things you can't see and to do things that you don't necessarily have time to do, to the freedom to think because they're not in the weeds of the sales. But I don't think a lot of marketing departments are doing their job as middleman. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like when your best marketing pieces of content is 3 years or older, then it's like, bro.
That's true. That's
You
true.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's not the idea of you're consistently creating new pieces of content or different pieces of content. We still need relevant pieces of content. And I think a lot of marketing departments get into the idea of, hey, we already have a video for that. So we're going to make another video that's completely different to do something else. Problem is, now we still have this video that sucks. That is probably the video that your sales team sends out more than anything else. And then they get the most negative feedback, but it's the only videos you have on this topic. No matter how much they ask for new content or this video to be recreated, I think for marketing people, they don't understand that at a level that needs to be comprehended to say, oh, okay, every year these are the videos we're going to remake and we're going to update, because that's technically what should be happening, man. At least at a bare minimum, I feel.
I feel like that's the perfect world, but at the same time, I also feel like that might be a little bit steep, because like as different trends change, like I don't know, it maybe depends on the marketing team. It depends on the relationship between marketing and sales. There's a lot of different factors that are at play here, but in general, I feel like the perfect world would be, sure, there's a big enough marketing team that they can handle all the big stuff. They can handle all the little stuff. They can handle the website. They can handle, videos and printed materials and, all that stuff, maybe LinkedIn posts or something like that if you have somebody that is kind of digesting that for you.
Yeah.
But if your team isn't that big, or if you're outsourcing this, that gets really expensive. And so I think there's a balance there. I do agree with you in the sense that if there is a video, then, marketing's gonna be like, well, we have one of those, but it's not what worked a few years ago where you could have a 5-minute video or something like that. And everybody's brains were strong enough or focused enough to be able to watch the full 5 minutes and capture all of that. Sure. But now we're in the age of a completely different trend, the completely opposite end of the spectrum, where it's like quick 30, maybe 60-second videos. And so you got to kind of tailor that content to a more friendly format and kind of like feed into what everybody is really wanting. And so that changes too, right? So there has to be a delicate balance there. Now the question is, where does sales fit into this? It depends on the company. If you have that freedom, we have that freedom to some extent. Like we can go into certain customer sites, record a quick demonstration video, and all is good. Or, we have a back and forth with our marketing department and say, hey, this is what I want. Can you help me create that? It's very, very, I don't know. It's very, very individual, I'd say.
No, it is. It is. I agree with you. But you said something that is probably the core of my argument. The times have changed, right? And you said that now we need a 30-second video. That's literally the core of most of the salespeople's arguments is we have this good piece of content, but the video you created was for old times where you got a slide, you made it like a movie production. You have a title come in and then a title exit out, exit stage left. And it's 20 seconds in and we don't know what this video is about. It's just an intro, 20 seconds. And then it gets to what we're actually doing. But nobody wants to sit around for 20 seconds. And how often do you have to tell your customer, or if you're on a call and you speed the video up, it takes away from the sale. It takes away from the relationships and the rapport you're building. And those are simple things where they can go through videos and say, hey, based on the times changing, we're going to update these pieces of content. That it doesn't take you. You don't have to like reproduce it. You can just you can just go back and edit some of those videos.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's the toughest part too, because no matter what company I've been at, I spent most of my time downloading videos that marketing has sent me and then editing them.
Yourself?
Yeah, just because Seriously. It's like, all right, I don't need 30 seconds of this. This is way too close of a shot. It doesn't say anything about what we're doing or what we're trying to accomplish. Now, back in the day, these movie-like shots looked really cool when you're displaying a product. And it was like, wow, look at how great this machine is. And look at how great this piece of technology is. And, all that type of stuff. But now we've kind of skipped over those layers. Yeah. And now the person, our target ideal customer, when they get the content, now they just forward it to the engineer or they forward it to the procurement person. They don't even get, we don't have to convince them as much because now I feel like as jobs have evolved, people are very comfortable in staying in their role, and anything outside of their role, they want nothing to do with. So if it's, hey, this is a technology play or this is a marketing play, they'll just send that stuff to those people. But now I got this video that speaks to neither one of those audiences, and they're pissed because they're just watching a video and wasting their time. And so that's where I always say, I know where it's going. Let me try to cut this down. And I'll preface, hey, it's an older video, but this kind of gives you a summary or a preview of what we do.
Yeah, I think it's exactly that, right? Like fitting into the mold of what is popping right now, right? Like what is important right now. And it's a lot of that quick, catchy, to the point, hey, what's your problem? What's the solution? Like no fluff, no nothing. People don't want to be essentially wowed in like the explanation and the cinematic shots and things like that. Like people don't want this big buildup. Like they just want to cut to the chase. And I think that's where the current trend is going. And maybe that's something where like disconnect is in potentially like what the salesperson sees, not only sees, but what the salesperson deals with, right? Like you're saying, like even if you're doing a customer demo, even if you're on a Zoom, how many Zoom calls are we on in a week? How many times are we sharing our screens, pulling up videos, trying to walk through a potential solution, the overall flow of our technology, and you're sitting there trying to literally either the video's buffering, depending on how good your internet is, or it's too much build up and you're trying to find what's actually pertinent to where you are in your conversation with the customer, and you're trying to cut out that fluff, man. And that's the biggest thing, is like customers don't want to be dealt with fluff. Same thing with with emails and stuff like that. How many times are you texting a customer? I've transitioned specifically to like texting customers, sending photos and links back and forth, as opposed to a lot of these like long drawn out emails that like the beginning of my career, 10, 11 years ago, I used to do, and I used to see other guys do that were, far more experienced, got 30 years of experience over my limited selling, my selling experience. So like in all of that, it's like things have completely shifted. And if you're unable to keep up, then you're just left behind, right? And so who has a better pulse on that other than the person that's directly customer facing, which ends up being us?
Yeah, dude. I think, I feel like the salespeople, if we did what was needed to be done to get marketing to row in the right direction with us, it would feel like we were helicopter parents. And that's that's kind of my stopping point, because I know marketing isn't easy. It's not an easy job, but I know sales is that thing that drives the revenue. But you can make some really good content and it drives the revenue too. And so I don't know if it's an ego death that has to happen, but if we could get marketing on board the right way, bro, it would change the game.
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking like even this. So when you think about, okay, Seismic is a big company. A lot of companies use Seismic. A lot of companies use Salesforce. If marketing went through Salesforce and Seismic and just created their own report, and a quarterly report, hey, these are the opportunities we're seeing. These are the packages we're seeing sold. These are the type of companies that had the best response this quarter. They could push that to sales, and we could kind of like spot check against it, speak against it, validate, confirm, or contextualize things, and it can help them create better content. Or they can look in places like Seismic, even Google Docs or whatever your company's using, Google Workspace. It'll show you who's viewing the content, right? So they can say, hey, this month the Salesforce pushed out these 3 videos 150 times. These 3 videos that were sent out 150 times were viewed 200,000 times. Is there anything that we can do to make this content better? Or if we made it better, or what is your feedback on this content? What feedback were you getting from this content? And then we can say the video sucks. Everybody says it's old, but it's what we have. Or they really like this part. Maybe some of our next pieces of content can hone in on that. Right. So there's ways to be very prescriptive. I just don't think it would feel good, because the other way around is sales coming and doing it and saying, hey, this is all that we sent out. Here's, like, we would have to create our own report, which would be, then they would be on defense instead of offense.
Yeah, but I don't know, man. I go the opposite way, right? Like I go in the sense of like, at the end of the day, I need it done, right? So that's kind of like the way that my brain works, is like, I'm not the type of person that's going to sit here and be like, hey, we don't have any good ones. If I feel like it's within my grasp, like you did with editing the videos to fit the format that you wanted, if I feel like that's something that's within my reach and I can do it because I need it done, then I'll do that, right? The same thing as like producing your own content in terms of like maybe print or an email blast or something like that. Like I've done all that stuff. If we're talking about, LinkedIn content, certain messaging or certain videos or certain images, that type of thing, then I think that, I'm not going to let anything stop me. I think it's like a necessary thing for like a salesperson. We're always taught to be versatile, and we're always taught to like think on our feet and that sort of thing. But also don't bite your tongue, right? So if you are a salesperson and you are struggling with something, then feel free to speak up and feel confident enough to say, look, man, I've got some stuff going. It would really help me in these discovery calls where I get hung up on XYZ. If that process became smoother and we had content driven towards XYZ specifically, and we cut out a lot of the fluff and a lot of like the dead quiet space within the conversation and the searching within the video and that whole thing, it would really just kind of present a better image across the board. I think that's a different way to kind of look at it. And like, Again,
Yeah.
you're the salesperson, you're the CEO of your territory, of your quota, of your target. So you got to figure out what works for you and what you need to delegate and communicate in terms of like what's going to help you.
And that's why I think salespeople should be able to make their own content.
Which is true. And that's exactly it. Like I am of the mind that I should feel free enough to create my own content. And I don't think,
Absolutely.
you know, where we are right now, I don't think that anybody's really like fighting us on that.
Yeah.
However, however, depending on the size of your organization, depending on the type of your organization, I see where that could be a big hindrance, right? There, where marketing is just straight up, don't do it. We're gonna pump out all your LinkedIn posts for you. Like everybody go out and just repost our LinkedIn page or our whatever it is, our company LinkedIn page, and just repost all those posts that we put on there. But like that just, you know, it's kind of like,
It's literally the antithesis of marketing though, to do something so general and generic and expect people to see it and have a response.
yes, and resonate with
It's
that.
crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy. No, I'm 100% in support of salespeople creating their own content. And the way I get around it is this is how I've explained it at another company. I used to work at a Fortune 50 company, and somebody was really against me creating my own content on LinkedIn. And this is what I said. I looked at it as our company is pretty much the corporation that owns the franchise. So I said, I said, at a franchise, when you own one of the franchises, everything is kind of up for grabs as long as it's been approved by legal. So I just took all the copy from the website and created all the photos from the website. I stayed within the brand colors and I just created my own content. I didn't say anything different from what you said. It
Just
just
structured it.
used Yeah, I just structured it in a better way.
What can they say?
Yeah, I just said I used what you have put out and structured in a better way that is resonates with my customers and with my audience and with my targets because that's what needed to be done. Like I'm the CEO of the territory, I'm the entrepreneur, I'm the one who's supposed to own this area and these accounts. And so in order to do that, they don't want to know how the clock was built. They just want to know what time it is.
Mm-hmm.
Is my watch going to work? I don't care that
Mm-hmm.
you invested 20 million in this space and you hired these people from these companies. They want to know, hey, this watch you gave me, is it going to work?
Right.
Why? And why is it better than what you had me use before?
Right.
So I started taking all of our content and just like manipulating it to be something for me. And I just deck after deck and photo after photo, I would like go and take everything I could and make something completely different.
Now that's you restructuring what was already out there, right? But
Yeah.
like, have you taken it upon yourself to like go out and actually film, photograph, you know, maybe like floating head type of thing in that world of like, okay, maybe I'm not sharing any secrets, like, but also at the same time, like I need to get this message out to this target audience, to this ICP.
Yes, I have. And I was a lot more crafty with that. I kind of used those on a case by case basis. I didn't necessarily post those publicly, but what I did do was say, hey, I just had an awesome experience at XYZ company. The way that we help them improve their time to market by 10% is really impressive. I have a couple videos, but you know, everybody for privacy reasons, for legal reasons, I don't want to just share those out willingly. If you are interested, then you know, please reach out for a call. I'll set up a call. We could talk through it. We could walk through it. I'll show you what I have, or I'll come on site and show you some of the things that we did that was pretty cool. I have a couple videos, and I'll do it like that.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
I'll
that was
make
just
it
like
seem.
like a blast, or was that like a LinkedIn thing?
I would write a LinkedIn post
Okay.
and basically kind of say, "Yo, it's super exciting. I would love to schedule a call with you. Reach out, text me, whatever. We could figure something out. I'll come on site or something." But I wouldn't necessarily. I didn't publicly post it.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, things that I have publicly posted though is if a customer or a user has actually functionally used our machines or software and they recorded it
Yeah.
and they had it on YouTube,
Yeah.
I've taken that and like walked people through like, look at this. Like I'm
Yeah.
not
At that
just
point, it's public.
at that point it's public,
Yeah.
and I'm not just like talking about it or using our company. I'm using a testimonial technically,
Yes.
and as a great example, and that's been helpful too. So I typically scrape the internet for everything, whether it's an article, a review from an industry inside website, all that type of stuff. I kind of take and make my own, and I'll credit it, and all that type of stuff, just to make it that, hey, I took this from somewhere that was a valid source. I didn't just create this off the top of my head. So
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. I mean, I feel like I'm the same way in a way. Like, for sure, if a customer already posted about something, or
mhm.
maybe I came from a world where our stuff was such a small part of the process. But if they said, hey, here's a video of our manufacturing process, and there's one half a second where our machinery is in there, it's like, hey, we're public now, so there you go.
Yeah,
And you can use that as like really being like, okay, here we are, we're a critical process, or a critical step in their process. And same thing, like, even in the world that we're in right now, if a customer posts about a big, you know, revamp or complete restructuring of their like their order fulfillment process or something like that, then even better for us. Like, now we have that out there, like you're saying, like directly from the customer's point of view, directly from the horse's mouth, in terms of what the KPIs were, what the improvements were, like what the ROI was. And you can just take all that, add a little bit of your own stuff to it, like your own sauce or your own input into it, and then repost that or whatever that might be. But on the flip side of things too, though, I've also been the customer, or I've also been in the customer's location and just asked for their permission. Hey, can I take pictures? Can I record this? Can I record that? And without really sharing too much, if you are very, very focused on a particular item or section of their process, then you can say, hey, here's our piece of equipment. This is what it's doing. Contact me if you have a similar need or something like that. But at least it's like bam, 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 right to the point, right?
yeah,
Like,
for sure.
this is what we solve. This is what we do. There's no
Yeah,
grandiose explanation, theoretical, blah, blah, blah. Like, it's just, this is the problem. This is the solution. And I think that's so important, man. Because if I'm looking for something and I have a problem, like, just like, for example, I do a lot of home DIY stuff, right? Like, how do you do this, and that? Like, I don't want, if I find a YouTube video and it's 38 minutes long, like, I'm going to freaking fast forward through that until I get to the solution. Whereas if you get a short, like a YouTube short, and it's just, this is the problem, this is the solution, I'll watch that 5 times to try to figure out the in between steps. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
it's
yeah,
very, very, like, times have really, really changed, and now I think it's necessary for you to, as a salesperson, for you to be essentially aware of what is available to you. If it's not available to you, build it yourself.
yeah. You have to build it yourself.
You have to. You have
It's
to.
not going to be available, so you really have to build it yourself. I'm not mad at that because, I mean, when you think about it, like, what's the goal? The goal is to get the sale. The goal is to get sales. The goal is to find targets. Marketing and sales are technically trying to find the same people. But sales, because we're in boots on the ground so much more than marketing, we just have a couple more layers of nuance that we understand. And so if your marketing team isn't engaging in that manner, or even with you in that manner, you kind of have to just take initiative upon yourself and actually do those things that you know are going to bring the business in. Because if not, then you're just sitting there with marketing having another idea session or round table. You know how it goes, like, oh, we're short on sales. Like, what can we do to help you guys? What campaigns can we run? Or
Yeah.
what trade show should we go to? And now we're helping them, and we could have just been doing what we were supposed to do all along, which was, hey, I'm gonna choose my own adventure here. I'm gonna create some content. I'm gonna get it out to my people. I'm gonna try to convert some business.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's exactly it. I think you got to keep, like, to your point, right? Like, you got to keep your goal, like, front and center. Like, the goal is to convert customers. How do you do that? How do you make that overall process more efficient? Like, everybody's got limited amount of time. Everybody needs to fit more into their schedule. So the quicker we can do this, the faster we can produce the content that's relevant, the faster we can use that content to convert leads into sales, I think the better. And instead of sales helping marketing do their jobs, we need to get sales to help marketing help sales do their jobs. You know what I mean? Like, I think
Yeah, man.
that's the biggest back and forth. And if it is lead by example and lead with some of your own stuff, maybe it's not refined. And sometimes that's okay, right? Like, it's not going
Yeah,
to look
true.
highly edited and all this stuff. But if it gets the message across, then you can say, look, I use this, it's effective, go polish it up. I feel like that's a good way to do it too.
That is a good point. You can be the beta.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, I use this, it worked. You know what I mean? Customers like this. Customers use this. And if you are using some sort of analytics software, like you're saying, like a Google Workspace or something like that, that says that customers keep coming back to that, now you have the data behind it to prove that it's working, to prove that they're engaged.
Yeah, yeah, dude. That's true, man. So, I mean, it sounds like we're pro sales creating your own content.
I am, man. I am, because at the end of the day, like I want somebody to come to me. Like my goal is to be regarded as the one that brings solutions, right?
Yeah,
Whether that's from
very true.
customers spreading the word, whether that's from my LinkedIn content or content elsewhere or something like that. I want people to see my name and think, okay, the solution that I provide is this. So every time that problem might come up, I know who I need to call. And I also am of the mind that like the salesperson is also meant to be the one that facilitates everything. So it's not like, hey, I just got the customer on board and now I pass it on to the rest of the team for kind of post sales and everything else. Like, that's still my customer. And so I'll help them along the way. So maybe you take on too much that way, but at the end of the day, like, I still play the long game, right? Like, as we talked about in other episodes, in terms of just your reputation, in terms of like networking, in terms of building up like who you are as a regarded member of this particular industry or world that you're in. I want to be that name that says, okay, he provided a solution. He helped me out with this. Next time that I need that, I'm going to go back to him. You know, if somebody else asks me about what I did in this particular instance, I'm going to recommend Brian. That's all I want. And whatever it takes to get me there, nothing's beneath me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. True. So yeah, so I mean, if we're saying that sales people creating their own content is necessary, what do you think as a like it's like as we get close to wrapping up, what do you think is the reason why we haven't seen people create more content? Like, do you think it's the salespeople, or do you think it's the system and the corporation kind of putting blockers on them to not do that?
Well, I don't know. I guess it depends where you're at. Like, it depends the industry that you're in, maybe the size of the organization, maybe there's certain rules of engagement that are in place. If you are in a particular place that is putting roadblocks up and stopping you from creating your own content, then I would push back and say, well, this is the content that I need it now, because I can go out and create it now. Can you create it for me such that I can use it right now? That's tough, man. That one's difficult.
That's a tricky question, man, because every time I think about the opportunity for marketing to be better, and I try to go as simple as possible. I even think about even this right here, like just one of the marketing people interviewing salespeople after the win, following up 6 months later to talk about how great the solutions are. You can literally talk about what the machine does, or the software does, or the solution does, or the package you sold does, who you sold it to. The marketing person can be the one who tiptoes around brand and company. They can say, okay, so it was a top retail brand, and you can say yes. And then they have over 200 stores. You can say yes. Now, how did we help them? And then you say, okay, we implemented a such and such, and they were able to distribute it and blah, 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 right? They could literally they could do that in 30 minutes every week, just kind of get more marketing content and then put it out. And they don't have to put out the whole thing, but they can put out a synopsis, or like you said, 30 seconds, 3 minutes, and it would just give them way more content. So I just kind of, I don't know, man.
I think you just gave him an idea. Yeah, go ahead.
Just think about I think about the simplicity of how easy it would be to create content. Because then you can almost give the salesperson back that whole episode, and he could put it on his social media. And that would
Yes. Dude,
So I don't.
you literally just thought of a perfect idea, right? It's like the sales highlight of the week or something like that, where it's like, okay, what are all the wins we got as a collective this week?
Yeah,
Let's talk through them. Let's record a quick 5-10 minute thing. Let's chop it up and make it quick and snappy, right? Again, how do you summarize the win? How do you summarize the solution? And
yeah.
how do you summarize for example, like the ROI for the customer in that sense? And
Tell you, man.
if you're the marketing person, it's just asking a series of questions. If you're the salesperson, what's stopping you from doing, a quick little summary? Hey,
Yeah,
here's a win I wanted to highlight this week. This is the industry that this customer was in. This is the solution that we provided. This is what the ROI is expected to look like. Let's circle back in 6 months and kind of see, once it's been implemented, how things shook out, right?
yeah.
If you are also in this industry and you are also experiencing this problem, talk to me. Let's figure out if this is something that would
Bro,
apply to you as well.
I'm telling you.
It's
I'm
just a
telling
win,
you.
right? So you're not sharing any secrets. You're not dropping any names that you're not supposed to be dropping. You're not violating any NDAs, but you are talking about a problem that you saw, a solution that you provided, a potential ROI that you can come back around and say, okay, this is documented now. Let's come back around and see what the pros, cons, obstacles, overcoming the solutions were.
I
That's
don't. That's that's what I. That's why I get frustrated because
it's really
it's.
not that hard.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm
It's really
saying.
not that bad.
Like even with that, bro. That's all I'm saying. Even that's why I get frustrated because I know it doesn't take much to do certain things. And then even with your case studies are way more dynamic if you say, hey, in 6 months, we're going to come back and ask you these questions. Can we just track these? You mind? Cool. And you're like, hey, man, this machine's been great. Install only took a week. Or, hey, they got our software integrated in 3 months and we've been able to cut down FTEs by this amount, or all those things that people like. It would be way different if they actually heard it from the customer who's actually the operator in the position. It doesn't have to be every company, but most companies don't care. But we use the few that do to say, oh no, privacy and this and that. A lot of people want to highlight themselves and the work they implemented too, because anybody who buys into the solution is bringing value to the company as well. So
Yeah.
you could promote it by promoting other people. So I don't know, man. That's just my soapbox when it comes to things like that. I think the cross pollination is so important, and salespeople are the ones who cross pollinate everything. We talk to every business, and we talk to multiple people in those businesses. We probably are the billboard most of the time. And if we can't open our mouths or if we can't advertise, then who will? You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, and the fine tuning aspect of it, right? Like I,
Yeah.
I don't want somebody to hit me with some, like, because I always put the other side of it on, or I always try to kind of see it from the other side. And so for me, it's like, okay, if I'm being sold to, I want somebody to dial into what I want in this particular case. I don't want a generalization. I don't want somebody to be like, oh yeah, somebody with brown hair and brown eyes also bought this.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, you know what I mean? I want it to be specific to me, and so the more detailed you can get, the simpler the process is to convey that message, the easier it is now to convey that message. And the more of reps you can get into, and kind of like the more messages you can get across. I don't know. It's really not that hard. Who's going to be the first one? Who's going to be the first one, Brian? You or me? I don't know, man. You got a pretty good win.
Yeah. We should do it. We should do that, bro. I'm telling you, because it's so relevant, man.
It really is.
That's why I like car salesman, because it's just a healthy mix of real and raw and marketing. So, side note, I love minivans. My wife will not let me buy a minivan. Let me tell you what got me, and I've been pushing for it since her first denial. I've been pushing because this guy sold me so good. We went to look at a minivan, and she's asking about the space and the radio and stuff. And he's like, "Hey, bro, come here, man." He said, "How many kids you got?" I was like, "2." He was like, "Look at this space back here. You can fit whatever you want back here." He said, "Look at these doors." He said, "See that? They don't go out this way. They just slide back." I said, "Babe, sliding doors. The sliding doors won me. We live in Southern California.
Yeah.
Parking sucks here.
Yeah.
You many times I've tried to like squeeze out of a spot, or I'm like, yo, this solves all of our problems. These sliding doors
Dude,
will be golden." And she was
yeah.
like, "No, absolutely not." But since then, every month it comes around, I'm like, we need a minivan. And she says, you have a 13-year-old and a 9-year-old. We don't need a minivan anymore. I'm like, but those sliding doors though. Those
Yeah,
sliding
man.
doors,
But
bro.
they got you though. They
They
got you
got me on
exactly where it made sense to you.
the sliding doors. So now I'm advocating for them. They're not even selling me anymore.
Exactly.
I'm like asking
Exactly.
my people to come check out the van. So
Exactly.
and it just takes a person knowing that, being in the field, to see how important it was for somebody else. A marketing person would never say, "Oh, these sliding doors in a parking lot is why you want this van." It sounds crazy,
Mm-hmm.
but for the practical person, granted, it can only be like 10 or 15% of us, but that's going to win that guy some business.
I agree. I agree 100%. 100%. On a side note, I'm also trying to get my wife to like be open to the idea of a minivan because I can
Bro,
already see like once we get the, car seat, stroller, like all the gadgets and the diaper bags and stuff, like I can already see the whole door opening and all that stuff being a problem.
bro, I'm telling you what's going to happen. And this is what always sells me too. When we have family come over and then we have to go in two cars because they need
Yes.
space.
Yes.
And I'm like, yo, we could all fit in this school
Yes.
bus
Yes.
if you just bought into the school bus. We could
100%.
always make it work. Yeah,
That's
man.
hilarious.
Yeah,
That's so funny.
that's why salespeople have to do marketing, man, because they know like that psyche of the customer.
Yeah.
Sometimes they just really can dial in because they're up close in front of the customer, and they can kind of see some things that marketing can't. So
Yeah, 100%. No, 100%. I'm with you. Yeah, at the end of the day, if you're a salesperson, you have to take it upon yourself to figure out what needs to get done. If you can do it
absolutely,
on your own, do it on your own. If you can get marketing spun up, get marketing spun up. But at the end of the day, kind of how we ended last week's episode with a good carpenter never blames his tools, same type of theme, right?
same
Like
thing.
you
Yeah,
can't let anything hold you back. Your territory is your business. You got to figure out, you got to do what needs to get done.
that's it, man. It's go win it. Go win it. That's
Go
the
win it. No
every
excuses.
day. That's what you have to say.
Yeah, no
Go win it.
excuses whatsoever.
Yeah. Yo, leave us some comments. Let us know what you feel. Have you had to do some marketing yourself, create content yourself, or have you bumped heads with marketing before? And what was the result of that? Let us know in the comments.
Yeah, and if there's any other ideas of what some simple, quick, easy sales generated marketing content could look like, drop it in the comments. Start doing it on your own. Start getting your name and your own personal brand out there, and just try to build up your network that way.
Let's do it.
All right, y'all.